cloud. All right. So Maureen made it. Yay. Maureen, are you in New Hampshire or Vermont?
I am in Vermont.
I am so jealous.
It's
That's my homeland.
I know it's beautiful too. The leaves are all turning. So
Um,
I'm here. I'm gonna listen.
Good. I was born in Burlington, Vermont.
I was just there dropping my husband off at the airport. So
Oh, yeah. But my grandparents lived in Montpelier, and they lived on State Street, on Court Street, which is the courthouse. The State House is on Court Street, and so I grew up when we would go to their house. We would go play on the lawn of the Capitol and climb on the back of Ethan Allen, Ethan Allen statue. I played many an hour on the back of Ethan Allen in front of the Capitol building in Vermont. What a happy childhood that was. All right. Well, with that, we're going to jump in today and talk about unit. I keep saying unit because the program that I teach is in units. The writing program I teach is in units. This is elements, so it's not the same. So element 7, creating a leptogenic world. So if you were here last time, you know that we used the word obesogenic. That's how you pronounce it. And I said, I have no idea what that even means. And someone said, well, it's got obese in it. So yeah, and that's exactly what it means. Promoting like a lifestyle of excessive weight. And it's very true that we do live in that world. And the focus obviously for Optavia is to live or create for ourselves a leptogenic world, which is promoting, creating, or generating an environment that promotes thinness. Not sure how much I like the word thinness, because I personally, for me, for Lizabeth, being thin is not my goal. So, you know, my goal weight is still considered overweight by doctors. So I have no desire to be a size 2. It would not look good on my frame. It does look great on lots of people's frames, but it wouldn't look good on mine. And I think my goal is the place that a lot of people start at. I think instead of using that word thinness, I just like to focus on health and feeling healthy and feeling confident in how you look, and that it's not a number on the scale. It's not a number on the tag of your pants. It's not, it really is all about how we feel. And I mean, if you've got health issues, obviously, your doctor's going to say, you really should be at this weight, or, really need to strive for this because of, your cholesterol or blood pressure or whatever. And by all means, that is what you should do. As I have said many times, started out this program as a healthy fat person. I have no health issues. I have never been diabetic. I had gestational diabetes with my last child, but I don't have blood sugar problems. I don't have blood pressure problems. I probably have cholesterol problems. If I would go to the doctor and draw my blood, they probably would have said, I had high cholesterol. But I don't have joint problems, back problems. So for me, I focus more on how do I feel and how do I feel about myself. And I'm happy where I am right now. I probably will lose another maybe 6 to 8 pounds in this process, is kind of what I'm thinking. So, more than the 1.4 that I lost this week, or 1.6 that I lost this week. Don't tell anybody, because I haven't published my reality check yet. So that's a big secret. Not really. But I just know, for me, I feel so much better and I feel so much more confident. And that's just what I want other people to feel, and to remove the pressure of I have to be a certain weight, I have to be a certain size. There really isn't one. We're all so different. And so that's my thought on the word thinness. So anyway, as this continues to go, we're going to kind of go back and forth a little bit between the life book and a little bit of what is in section 2.2 in Habits of Health. There were a couple of things. I don't know how many of you have that book, actually use that book, read that book. It's kind of, it's not really intuitive about what you should be reading when. The Habits of Health is basically the life book expanded with a lot more information and with no place to take notes. So it's not asking you a bunch of questions. My preference for myself is I'm an information junkie. I want to know the hows and the whys, because that having that, knowledge is power, and having that knowledge has been very helpful to me. So I'm going to go back and forth and just read for you a couple of things that I underlined in that section. On page 177, this was so reassuring to me. No matter how much we abuse our bodies, if we stop the assault of unhealthy habits and put ourselves back into position to function as we were designed, we can tap into the body's inherent capacity to heal itself. And how exciting is that? That if we just stop those bad habits, we can repair. I don't know that we can repair all of the damage that we have done to our bodies, but we can certainly repair some of it. And I'm sure you have seen the testimonies of people on social media saying, I've been on this program for X number of weeks, and my doctor has lowered my blood pressure medication. They have taken me off of metformin. They like the changes that are definitely happening to people as they begin to lose weight. And it's honestly not Optavia. It's the fact that they are getting rid of the crap out of their bodies, and they're not eating the junk. They're not eating the processed foods. They're putting in healthy foods, healthy nutrients into their body, which is helping them. I'm not a medical professional by any stretch of the imagination. Science is not my thing, but I have read enough to know that this is a pretty good deal that we got going here. And if something is working, we should keep on doing it. At the bottom of a couple of paragraphs down, it says, it's talking about the unhealthy habits that we have, because we are so surrounded, we're so inundated by all the processed foods. I mean, just think about the commercials that you see on TV, that you see on social media, that you see in magazines, that when you go see a movie, the advertisements that are there, are they advertising salads and lean protein? And they're not giving us, they're not filling our heads. We're getting Coca-Cola and Hershey bars and McDonald's and all of the stuff that is full of processed and just all of the terrible things. And it says this highly processed food is flipping metabolic switches and creating an almost continuous state of fat accumulation. Your body doesn't have time to burn the fat that you're storing, and so it stores it as more fat, and then you give yourself more food, and it doesn't have time to burn through all of that food because you're giving it so much. And because it can't burn through it, it's got to then, hi Carla, it's got to then move that to to your fat stores. So that's not a lot of fun. And it just makes a whole lot of sense. So we taught the whole purpose of this particular element is to help us to create an environment that will be encouraging for us to actually lose weight. On the next page, it says, so let's use your biological design to advantage and revamp your energy management system. So the whole, he talks about how diets, we have a huge diet industry in this nation, and the whole, really the design of the diet industry is to give us a gimmick that is going to so restrict and tell us what we can't, so that it's just not sustainable for us to be able to do that. And I think that one of the best things about Optavia is that while the processed foods, I'm going to be very happy. I'm glad that I'm down to 4 fuelings now. But even when I transition off of fuelings, it is going to be a smooth transition, and I won't feel like I'm not going to be able to maintain this. Back in the life book, like I said, I'm going to kind of go back and forth. He says, if you only bought healthy food at the grocery store and it's not close at hand, you can instead stop, challenge, and without any temptation, choose something healthy over an activity on your health plan. So it's how important it is to set yourself up for healthy habits by surrounding yourself with things that are good for you. Over the last several years, we've discovered that willpower is not something you have or don't have, but a resource that becomes depleted and, like a battery, can be recharged. So again, that's another really good news is, people say, I just don't have willpower. Well, they need to give themselves an opportunity to restore that willpower. And one of the ways you can do that is remove the temptations for a while, so that all you have is the ability to choose good things. So, and that's one of the great things about the fuelings is they remove, you're told these are the things you can eat. This is it. These are the only things you can eat. Pick from these things, and then do your lean and green, choose off that list, and let's move on from there. And there was a conversation yesterday. Yes, it was yesterday, about somebody posted one of those "can we have" kind of posts, and it was about the pizza crusts. And the response, when I said, I gave the email that I got from Optavia, and I don't think it was the original poster who responded back and said, I wish Optavia would state somewhere that they had changed the plan. And my response back to her was, and this was the one who, I think I came across as harsh, and I certainly didn't mean that. The Optavia has never said that prepared cauliflower crusts are part of the plan. They've never said that. It is not in any documentation. The only place you have seen that, and we've all seen the graphics, the only place you have seen that is in a graphic that somebody else made, and it has been passed to coaches who pass it to clients, who become coaches and pass it to their clients, who become coaches and pass it to their clients and post it on social media. It did not come from Optavia. So why would Optavia need to create something to say, oh yeah, but now they're not approved? They were never approved to begin with. And so that's, I was trying to be really nice about it, and I guess I wasn't. And I apologize to her for coming across as harsh. But we have to stop holding Optavia accountable for the choices that we make. So we can choose. Rayo's is not approved. I'm sorry. Well, here's the thing, Karen. I think that I think it has never been on an Optavia document. So people have, I think they were at one point, people would call or email nutrition support, and nutrition support would look at the product and evaluate it and say, yeah, you can have that. But they have stopped doing that. And they're very wise to stop doing that, because there are so many companies now making so many products. And I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but you can buy something at Costco in Seattle, Washington, and you can buy the same product at Costco in Nashville, Tennessee, and the ingredients might be different. Same manufacturer, same product, but the ingredients are not always the same. And because of that, they can't keep a handle on whose is approved and whose is not approved. It is much easier for them to say, we do not evaluate any commercial products. We want you to buy lean protein that is on the lean protein list, or on the, I think the only really processed foods that they will approve is the stuff that you find on the vegetarian list, because those proteins have to be processed, since they're not animal proteins. So that's the only time, buy vegetables off the vegetable conversion list. Healthy fats and condiments are almost, a lot of those are processed, and that is fine. Yeah, Doris, I know, and there are a lot of coaches who are either not aware of what Optavia Nutrition Support says, or they're ignoring what Optavia Nutrition Support says. You have to make, this is your journey, and you have to make that decision for yourself of what you are going to have. I do just remind people that if you're following Optavia and you want to follow the Optavia program, this is what they say. Do people eat Rayo's and lose weight? Yep. But people eat carrots and lose weight, and carrots aren't on the program. So you just kind of have to, like, what is your journey? How is it affecting you? Right. So, some people have a very low threshold for certain products. As I am thinking about transition, and I'm looking at having to have whole grains in a few weeks. And my coach said to me today, she was like, Dave's killer bread. I'm like, no, bread for me is a gateway drug. I know for me, for Lizabeth, I cannot do bread. I just can't. And I've had to completely wipe that off of my options for the foreseeable future. And it may be, for me, it may be forever, no bread. Bread is one of my favorite things in the world. So to be able to say that, so you just have to decide that. There's no judgment for me. If you want to eat Rayo's, that's fine. But if you post a recipe on the newbies page and it has Rayo's, I take it off, because I want to make sure on that page that everything that is on there follows what nutrition support says, and I can back that up. I was backed into a corner, and I finally asked about those stupid Egg Life wraps, and sadly, they say no. So that's another one that I'm just like, ugh, I didn't want to ask, and I didn't want to ask on purpose, because I knew what they would say, and I didn't want to have to tell people yet another thing, because people get very upset with me when I tell them they can't have something. Anyway, yeah, we got to keep moving because I'm only on the first page here. When your willpower is depleted, you're more likely to make your decision based on your surroundings. And so that is why it is so important to make sure that what you have in your surroundings is what you can have, right? And that's one of the biggest things that I preach is plan and prepare. Plan. If you don't do anything else but make a weekly plan, I promise you, if you are struggling at all to stick to the plan, to lose weight, to see success, if you will plan your week and follow your plan, I really think that you will see a change in that. It's just it's a small habit. It takes a little while to create. For me, I have been menu planning since the day I got married. And it's been a while. So I think that for me, that weekly menu plan is a force of habit for me. I never shop at the grocery store if I don't have a menu plan. I might go to the grocery store for 2 or 3 days, but I know what I'm having those 2 or 3 days, because I don't want to, I live at least 20 minutes from a grocery store. I do not want to have to make multiple trips. I prefer to go once a week and have everything that I need for the week. And the only way I can do that is by having a plan. And he says, reduce the need to use willpower by creating a new, healthy, leptogenic world for you. Create your surroundings, plain and simple. Have a plan. Without a plan, you are going to struggle, and you're going to run into oh no, I should have done X. So that's my huge thing is planning is so incredibly important. I love back to the habits of health. And then I'm going to stop talking for just a minute because I want you guys to share some things. But on page 181 in Habits of Health, if you happen to have it, at the very top, it says, ask yourselves these questions to see if your body is currently getting its energy by burning fat or by using quick carbohydrates. And these are the 7 things. And as I was reading through these, I was thinking about myself pre-Optavia. Do you eat a lot of refined, processed foods and drinks? Yep. Do you have a hard time concentrating or staying focused? Absolutely. Brain fog was a huge thing. Do you skip meals and end up eating only 1 or 2 a day? Absolutely. I wouldn't eat until maybe noontime. Sometimes I'd have breakfast, but typically I'd have 1, maybe 2 meals a day. There were times where I would go all day and not eat until dinner time. Do you struggle with cravings and low blood sugar? Cravings, yes. Blood sugar, not, unless I had cereal for breakfast, and then I would have blood sugar issues. Are you irritable if meals are missed or delayed? Of course. Do you struggle with mid-morning or afternoon slumps? This is the one that I was like, I'm not so sure. Like, I'm not a napper. So that was really not a huge thing for me, but still I'm at 5 out of 6 right now. And do you have difficulty staying asleep? Absolutely. I still do take magnesium. And I started taking that because I was having a really hard time staying asleep at night, and the doctor had tried Ambien, and I was like, that doesn't do anything for me. And it just made me feel weird the next day. And so the doctor said, well, try magnesium and see if that helps you. And it has. And so I continue to take magnesium. So, out of 7, I was 6 out of those 7. So clearly my body was not burning fat. I weighed over 300 pounds, and I was using those quick carbohydrates to fuel my body. And, my body showed that. Tell me about what did you guys feel with those responses, or what were your responses? Share some things. I'm going to be quiet for a second.
Anybody else want to do this? I don't want to be the only one.
I'll do something here.
Cool.
Yes.
Thank you.
So I also checked off most of those boxes.
Yeah.
Right.
I honestly, I'm sure that we probably are all thinking that, we all probably, how many did you get there, Becky?
I think I did 5 out of the 7 before, because I sometimes would go 12, 1 o'clock before I ate. Breakfast is my favorite time of day, but getting to work, starting the day, doing all that, sometimes it would be 12 or 1 o'clock, and we don't take lunches or breaks. Owning your own business, you just have to eat throughout the day whenever. So that was my main one right there.
Yeah. Carla said she never eats breakfast or ate breakfast and checked most of the boxes. Yeah. You can always sleep. I can fall asleep, and I still fall asleep really well, but I still don't stay asleep all night long. But part of that is because I have to get up and pee. But yeah, I sleep better than I used to. I don't wake up and stay awake for hours anymore.
I can't say the same, actually. 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, you're up. There's been a few times since I've started playing that I cannot go back to sleep, but I feel ready to start my day. Even though I go back to bed for an hour, even though I'm tossing and turning, I'm like, okay, I guess I'll just get up, on a weekend, which isn't like me.
Yeah.
That's frustrating.
Yeah, I'm usually up around 5. I'm awake usually around 4, but I make myself stay in bed and just eyes closed. I'm still resting. I'm not ready to get up and get moving. So I consider that still, my body's still resting. I'm not up moving around. So, I'm asleep. I went to a retreat this weekend and ended up, I didn't sleep well because I wasn't home. And I think I was awake at 3 and never went back to sleep. And finally at about 4:30 or so, I was like, well, I'm just going to get up and get ready for the day and go downstairs and make myself some coffee. And then I'll come back upstairs and there was a nice little comfy chair in my room, and I'll sit in the chair and I'll, get on Facebook or whatever. And the air conditioning vent was like right behind my head. And why the air conditioning was on anyway, because it was not hot. I was freezing. So I was like, no, this isn't going to work. So I got up and I went downstairs. But yeah, I was, and then nobody else was up until like 6:30. Like, it was like up for 2 hours. I should have brought my computer and graded papers while I was up.
You get sluggish then towards the end of the day when that happens.
I know. Well, I get in bed most nights at 7, but I watch YouTube videos and I'm on Facebook. But typically, everything is off and I'm asleep around 9. So I'm still getting, if I am in bed until 5 and I'm asleep at least until 4. Sometimes I'll fall back to sleep, but I'm usually getting a good 7 hours of sleep, and that's a decent amount of sleep for a 58-year-old woman. I'm not worried that I'm not. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Anybody else have to share on that?
I'll lay in bed and sit there and calculate, if I get up now, when do I start my fueling? And do I want it to start then?
Yeah, well,
that's true. That's true.
I often have my first fueling a little more than an hour after I get up. But when I get up and I make coffee, and then I sit on the couch and drink coffee and watch the news. I'm not up. I'm not washing dishes and doing laundry, and I'm not doing anything active. I'm just sitting there. So I don't feel bad if I push it to about an hour and a half sometimes before I have my first one, unless I'm up and moving. And clearly it worked for me, so I'm not. But it's good to get your metabolism going. Somebody asked on the newbies page what happens if she starts her day at 3 in the morning and she goes to work and she doesn't have time to eat until like 5 or 6 or something. And I was like, you have to do what you have to do. If you don't have time to eat until 6 o'clock, that's just the way that it is. And as long as it's working for you, the purpose of eating first is to get your metabolism going. So you're just probably not burning as efficiently that early in the morning as you would if you had given your tummy something. All right. So the last part of this element is talking about how do you prepare your environment to support this. And I love that he goes piece by piece, and he talks about your kitchen / pantry. He talks about your car, which is especially effective for people who work outside the home. You're traveling to and from work. That's super helpful. And your bedroom. And so we're going to go in that order. He says the pantry is the place where most processed foods are stored. You'll want to eliminate all ultra processed foods that have sugar or refined flour as the first few ingredients. So I love that that part is there at the end of that sentence. And it's not that you have to eliminate all sugar, all refined sugar, and all refined flour. But if those are the first few ingredients listed in the first few ingredients of then it's mostly that, and therefore is not a good option for you. The one thing that as I was thinking about this, I probably have talked before, not here, but you guys know that I don't like bottled salad dressings. I can't stand that. Even regular salad dressings, like not low fat, like no bottled salad dressing. I just don't like it. But low fat salad dressings, in particular, to me are horrible. And the reason I know the reason why is because they're sweet. And the only time I want something sweet on my salad is if I'm doing like a poppy seed dressing or like a coleslaw dressing. Those are okay to be sweet. But I don't want sweet Italian dressing. I don't want sweet ranch dressing. I don't like the sweetness. And the problem is most of them use sucralose. And if you look at the ingredients on them, it's pretty high up in the ingredients. So I discovered, and I couldn't figure out why, I discovered these little packets of salad dressing that I get from Amazon. It's by a company called Hall and Perry. And there's several different flavors. They've got Greek, Italian, balsamic. They have a poppy seed and some other fruity kind of thing. And those packets I can actually do. And one of those packets is equal to a condiment. And there's more than enough dressing in that packet for a salad and to say, this is one condiment and I can have my other 2 condiments for something else. And I discovered this weekend, because I was using some at the retreat, why I like that and I don't like the other stuff. It also uses sucralose, but it's the very last ingredient, which means there's not a whole lot in comparison to other low-fat salad dressings. Sucralose is not really that good for you. It is an artificial sugar. It's not like stevia or monk fruit, which both of those also no. If I'm going to do sugar, give me honey, give me agave, brown sugar. I'll do those, but I just don't like that. If I have something with stevia in it, I can taste it on my lips for hours and hours. I just am not a fan. But anyway, the bad stuff, the farther down the list of ingredients those bad things are, the less there is in the product. So that's kind of what you want to look at. He says, important note here, our fuelings are designed to do the opposite. Because they are low glycemic, portion controlled, provide balanced protein and carbohydrates, have lower calories, and work with the body to turn off the metabolic switches, they turn us into a fat-burning, healthy state. These fuelings are healthy food designed to help you manage your weight and health. And one thing to remember about the fuelings is read the ingredients, right? They're not, yes, they are processed, but they use real things. They don't use, the only chemical that I can find, anything that like is chemical, unless it's like a preservative, which they don't use a whole lot of, is basically the probiotic that they add to the fueling. So, I would encourage you, look at the ingredients list and see that, it's using tomato, it's using carrot, it's using, it's not using, imitation colors or anything like that. So it is real food. Yes, it is processed, but it is real food compared to other processed foods that are full of chemicals and preservatives. Get rid of tempting food that could sabotage your healthy eating choices, and don't use this time to finish off that bag of cookies that you find. This is where he's kind of talking about like, oh, we're setting you up. And I'm thinking, man, you're 168 pages into this program here. Certainly people are not reading all of this before they actually start. When you get rid of, so start by getting rid of, and it gives you a great list of things to get rid of. Anything that's white, hydrogenated oils. He lists cornmeal and corn grits, which I find interesting, but maybe because corn is hard to process, I would think that that would be a whole grain, but maybe corn isn't. I don't know. Is there any insight into that one? Why that one would be? I keep that stuff around for my husband too, Carla. As a matter of fact, I thought I had a container of grits. I was going to make him real grits tonight because I did shrimp and grits. But I must have gotten rid of it because there were no real grits. But I do have cornmeal. I do have, like I've got rice and things like that. I keep those things around, and I bake for him. So I have white flour and white sugar and all that stuff. But get rid of all the stuff as much as you can. And if you've got youngsters at home, then the best thing to do is have them put that stuff in a place where they can access it, but you can't, like that you don't see it. He suggested putting it on a low shelf. That's, you're not likely to see down below, but you might see up above. So, putting it somewhere where it's not going to be in your direct line of sight, so that it's not going to be something that you first reach out to. And then he asked you to write down the things that you're throwing out, which I found pretty interesting, kind of funny. But he says the key reason for writing these unhealthy foods can be summed up in one sentence. And before I read even further on here, I was thinking about somebody that I've watched on YouTube, who actually recently became a member of the Optavia Newbies group, which was pretty impressive. She had always said when she would look at something, she would say, "That's not my food." And that was something that she had picked up on. And so that's what popped into my head. But he says, I don't eat these foods because I have chosen to create optimal health and well-being in my life. And at the end of that, I wrote, "Not my food." And then I read the next paragraph. This is a very different approach from what you may have told yourself, that you couldn't eat these foods because they were not on your diet. Oh, okay. So maybe I shouldn't be telling myself that. Previously, you may have said can't, which creates a feedback loop that points out the restrictions and limitations of what you can and cannot do. It sets you up for failure because you are, in essence, saying, I am being forced to do something I do not want to do. But wow, I've always been saying that's not my food, that's not my food. But really what I should be saying is I've made a choice to, for my health and for my well-being, to choose foods that are good for me and not focus on them. And we do need to not focus so much on the negative, and focus on the positive instead. So how do you guys deal with those things, those processed foods? Like, Carla said she's got a spouse at home that she's got to keep food around for. I've got a spouse at home, not a skinny spouse, but a spouse at home that I have to keep things around for. What are some strategies that you guys have used to accommodate for those things? Or for guests that you have over or something like that?
I can talk if no one else is going to.
Go for it.
My daughter came home from Colorado to Wisconsin, where I am, after months of me being on the program. And she was at the airport. I picked her up and I said, I haven't had a time to grocery shop for the list of things you asked me for, bananas and whatnot. She's pretty healthy. And I said, let's go to the grocery store, but don't assume I have anything at my house. And I hadn't told her I was on plan or anything. So
Yeah.
if she reached for rice, I said, yes, I do have rice at the house, but I had abandoned my pantry completely and redid it and put everything like on another side of the house. So, and there were very few things that she even wanted from that space, but rice was one of them. And I had the white flour. I put the comment in the chat and said, Mom, this smells funny. So it's been too long since you've used it.
Right. Been sitting there for a while.
But I did have kind of an eye-opening experience. I stayed with my sister an hour away from me, and she was recovering from surgery. And I knew to bring my fuelings and my lean and greens up with me because I also put things away in the freezer. And I lost 3 pounds while I was with her, which was great. But that wasn't the amazing part. Her thin husband, who has all kinds of goodies in his house, and he offered them to me all the time. I had to learn how, whoa, this stuff still does exist, because for me in my house, it doesn't exist. So I had to kind of, change my mental picture. And I mean, my sister knew I was eating on plan, and he just would not stop offering me food, and she would get so mad at him. No, we don't do that. No, don't do that to me. Don't do that to her.
You know what, though, Karen? When my husband or somebody offers me something, I feel proud of myself saying no, because I didn't even want what they've offered. Because I know that if I had a bite or a cheat, that it's going to put me out of fat burn. So, I don't necessarily, like my son this morning, he was coming over and he texted us if we wanted McDonald's. Well, my husband would have had a McDonald's, and I'm like, no, thank you. But, grab something for him. And it didn't even bother me. It like makes me proud of myself for not wanting those items. So, the one thing, my husband has been making bread around the house every week now for himself. Making bread. Do you know how good that smells? Bread is my downfall as well.
My kryptonite.
Yeah, but he's making bread. He's
He
cooking.
makes huge bloomers. Oh yeah, and he's lost weight because we're not going out to eat all the time. But he'll make these bread loaves that are like huge, and it lasts him all week. We save $3 a loaf on Texas toast, and he might have gone through 3 or 4 loaves of Texas toast in a week before. Now we're saving money because he's just making this huge loaves of bread. And that's the one downfall that I wouldn't mind having a bite of on occasion. But for the most part, I've been so good. I'll go over there and I'll smell it. Oh, it smells so good, but it's not on plan. I can't have it. So that's the hardest thing.
Don't say you can't have it. You choose not to.
Choose. Yes. Choose not to. Yes. And that, Lizabeth, here in that same paragraph, what I thought was really awesome was you are giving your body a gift of health rather than a restriction of instant pleasure. And I highlighted that because I love that positivity there. And that's one thing you just said before Karen and I started. So
that resonated with me also.
Yeah, that's
very good. Yes.
That's a really good one. Because that's very true. It's like it is a gift that we are giving ourselves, that we're recognizing the damage that we were doing and saying, no, I'm not going to do that to myself anymore. I am worth making some changes so that I can have a healthy future. And you will never regret it. You will never regret getting healthy. I can't imagine anybody regretting actually getting honor your future self. get healthy.
Amen there.
So populate your pantry. And of course, this isn't going to be helpful to you now, but when you are in maintenance, foods such as olive oil, whole grains, high fiber breads and pitas, whole wheat flour, walnuts, almonds, and pistachios, a variety of beans, different spices and herbs. These are all healthy choices once you have reached your healthy weight. So definitely make sure that you're thinking ahead of those things that you will be putting into your pantry once you actually get there. Your refrigerator, what needs to go from your refrigerator? Whole fat dairy products such as milk, cheese, yogurt, butter, cottage cheese, and mayonnaise. I mean, you can still, this is the thing, is some of these things like the cottage cheese, I mean, like, is there a higher fat than 2%? Do they have like a 4% cottage cheese? Maybe
In
I don't know,
Wisconsin,
but
they have
I believe they do.
4%.
they have
4%.
what?
4%.
All right. Butter, I mean, even on 5-in-1, you can have half of a tablespoon of butter as a healthy fat. So I don't think that butter in itself is super unhealthy as long as you are limiting how you do it. Definitely, if you can use light mayonnaise, and honestly, I live in the South, and Duke's is king in the South, at least in my book. And their light mayonnaise tastes just as good to me as the regular mayonnaise. I can't tell the difference. Matter of fact, my Caesar salad dressing a couple of weeks ago, the reason why we didn't meet I guess it was it last week or the week before when we didn't meet, my daughter,
It was the time before.
yeah, my daughter and her boyfriend came over for dinner, and I made chicken Caesar salads. And I told her, I was like, Cameron, this salad dressing is like the best Caesar dressing you've ever had. And she was like, oh yeah, okay. So I made dinner, and she was like, Mom, this is the best Caesar dressing I've ever had. I said, it's low fat. She said, no, it's not. I said, yeah, it uses fat-free Greek yogurt, low fat mayonnaise. And she was like, no way. I was like, yeah, it's like, it doesn't, it tastes just like regular, like that, you know, that Caesar dressing that comes in the bottle that's kind of square or like diamond shaped, like, it's like it's really wide at the bottom and it gets really skinny at the top, but it's all straight edges. I can't remember what the name of the brand is, but I see it in stores, and it's from it had been a restaurant, or it is a restaurant like in Los Angeles or somewhere. And it's thick, and it is such a good, this is better than that. I mean, it is so good, that Caesar dressing, and it's on the newbies page. And if you want me to send it to you, I'll send it to you. So it really is the best. But you need to get rid of all that whole fat stuff, processed deli meats, bacon, hot dogs, sugary sodas and juices, beer and wine. Maybe the wine will stay a little bit. Food in high fat or sugar, peanut butter, that threw me, because I was like, peanut butter, really? Like, even on maintenance? But I'm guessing they want you to do like almond butter, or if you even do that, like, I don't even know. Jellies, obviously, salad dressings, except low fat and low calorie, sweet pickles, relish, ketchup. I have a killer ketchup recipe for maintenance that uses dates instead of sugar. It's to die for. I made it when I did Whole30, and I'll go back to making it again. Because again, I don't want to buy that sugar-free stuff because it's got sucralose in it. Puddings, applesauce, obviously, but unsweetened applesauce I would think would be okay. And it doesn't say. So instead, fill your fridge with low-fat protein sources such as lean chicken and meats, tofu, hummus, and eggs. By the way, tofu, I'm not saying gross tofu. I honestly had never had it before, and I decided one time when David was working that I was going to do the tofu scramble for my lean and green. Do you know how much tofu you get for a lean serving? 15 ounces. That is like a pound. It was so much. You think that 14 egg whites is a lot? Try 15 ounces of tofu. It was crazy. I would like to try tofu sometime when somebody else makes it and does it justice, and I don't have to eat 15 ounces of it because it was a lot. Hummus, yum, can't wait to have that. Eggs, fresh vegetables, that's easy, and vegetables for the freezer. Condiments such as mustard, pickles, and vinegars. Mineral water, sparkling water, unsweetened iced tea, olives and capers, yum, herbs and spices. So, and then the freezer is kind of the same, like, it's just really obvious the stuff that we're getting rid of, the processed stuff that we don't need, and we're filling it with whole foods, whole lean proteins, whole vegetables, frozen fruits that are unsweetened, fish and seafood without sauces and sugars, you know, veggie burgers from soy, beans, and no grain potato. I don't know what no grain potato is. Or sugar. I don't know. Maybe there's a comma missing there. So those are the things that you want to definitely fill your house with. And of course, that is really more maintenance than it is weight loss. But if you get rid of those things now, then they're not staring you in the face. And honestly, you know, I think our spouses could all stand to eat healthy foods once in a while too. So skinny or not. So what can you do? It gives says one of the keys to eating less is to serve less, and this can be accomplished in 4 very practical ways. Smaller plates. So move from a 12-inch plate to a 9-inch plate. And I've done that a few times. I don't right now, but I have occasionally taken photos on really small plates, and people are like, there's so much food there. I was like, well, it's a really small plate. And you do that on purpose. My dinner plates are at least 12-inch. They might be a little bigger than that. Colored plates, which I thought was interesting because he said colored plates, and it says when your plate color contrasts with your food, the size of the portion sticks out and we sense we are eating more. So wouldn't you think that white plates would give you the impression that you're eating more rather than a colored plate? I don't know. Because he says when they blend in, the amount does not register and we eat more. So green plates makes sense, and it's okay to eat bigger portions of green vegetables. This sounded very contradictory to me, and I couldn't really figure out, so maybe somebody else can explain that. Serve from the kitchen only, and I've almost always done that. I serve from the stove. I make plates and then deliver. As a matter of fact, I was working tonight while I was trying to get dinner together. And I always do mine first because I weigh it, and then he gets whatever is left over, basically. So I had served my plate, and I had taken my computer around to the other side, and he walked in and he looks at the counter where his spot is, and he's like, where's my plate? And I was like, I'm trying to work. I'm getting there. Really, I am. Can't you serve yourself? Like, come on. But anyway, I do usually serve from the kitchen. Even when we have a lot of people over, like Thanksgiving, the food goes on the island in the kitchen, and then we serve plates and go sit in the living room or in the dining room. We don't have, you know, plates and stuff, bowls of food sitting on the table. And then large glasses of water with a pitcher of water for refill during dining. Some people really like to drink water while they're eating, and some people prefer not to drink water while they're eating. There's people with strong opinions either way. I think that's an interesting idea, but I know a lot of people aren't going to necessarily agree with that. What I'm going to do is just plow through the car and the bedroom really quickly because we're running out of time. And then that way we can have a few minutes at the end for you guys to share. The car is obvious. Don't go through drive-thrus. And when you have to go to a restaurant, go to a sit-down restaurant instead of something that you're driving through, and choose smaller, it's like he says, choose 2 appetizers instead of a main dish, or split a main dish with somebody. And the other thing you can do is if you're out at a restaurant, is ask them for a to-go box even before the food arrives. And once your food is there, take half of it off your plate, put it in the to-go box, and save it for, you know, to take that home. If you can, bring a scale with you. I have a little tiny travel scale. It's the size of a calculator. that is helpful, especially for if you're on plan and you want to at least make sure that you have enough protein, because that's usually the biggest thing. Vegetables you can kind of eyeball, but protein is really important. A lot of times they shortchange you on protein, so you might have to add some protein afterwards just to make up for it. So if you can get a little scale to have with you, throw it in your purse. It's a really good thing. For your bedroom, just a couple of things. Organize your bedroom and put away clutter. That helps you to sleep better. If you have a TV in your bedroom, remove it or unplug it. That's not happening. But out of all four of these things, that's the only one that's not going, because actually I don't really watch the TV in bed. I watch TV on my phone, and I'm not getting rid of my phone. So choose a bedtime. That means you get 8 hours of sleep and stick with it. Do your best. Keep your bedroom cool while you sleep. Amen. Those of us who are menopausal or premenopausal or postmenopausal or whatever we are, having it cool in bed is really nice. And then never eat in bed. Keep the food in the kitchen, in the dining room, and save your bedroom for rest and sleep. So that's pretty much what it is. Working on preparing yourself. I enjoyed that one. There are a few things that I don't always agree with everything that's in there, but I'll always tell you what I think. But share with me in the time we have, and we can stay a little later, that's fine, but share with me what you guys picked up on, what you liked, what stood out to you. Now, zip for a minute.
I think the restaurant section for me is what almost that whole page is highlighted for myself. I do have a scale that I can bring when we do start to go out to dinner, which I'm like kind of wanting to, just to test myself, I guess. But my husband says no, because he's losing weight, eating his normal stuff, not us going out to dinner. So I appreciated the restaurant section here. But I do have the scale so I could bring to the restaurant as well, like you. So I'm looking forward to using that at some point.
Where'd you get the scales?
I just got mine off of Amazon.
Well, I saw one or
Yeah.
something but it's like a foldy uppy kind of thing, not something that looks like a really calculator.
Yeah, I'll send you a link to the one that I got. It really, it's like this. All right, hold on just a second. I'm gonna go get it.
Mine is kind of like I don't know, maybe 4 inches, and then it comes out like a V, and then the scale is at the bottom. You just push the buttons.
Huh. Y'all got
just
big.
like on your scale at home.
All right, I'm back. All right, so it looks like this, and the lid open. So it opens up so you can get to the buttons down here. But when you close it, you can still lay things on top of it with it closed, and it will still register. So you're not actually, you can put food on here and it's not going to actually get into the buttons or the screen or anything.
I like
and
that.
It's WOWOHE is what it says. Like, it's like the brand, I guess. But it's tiny, it's like cell phone size.
Will you spell that
Looks
again?
like a calculator.
WOWOHE. See, it's smaller than my iPhone.
Well, all right.
But
Cool.
you can do ounces, you can do grams. So it's nice. It's got a light on it, and yeah. So I like it a lot. And it's
How
small
often
enough
do you
that
go out to dinner and have had to use it?
well,
Like on vacation?
Yeah, on vacation. We don't go out to eat very much unless it is vacation. So that, like when we went out to Oregon, it was great to have.
7 o'clock.
7
Thank
o'clock.
you, Lisa.
Yeah. So yeah, that's super handy. And I don't typically worry too much. Oh, Carla, thank you. She found she found the link to it. I don't worry too much about the vegetables. Those I tend to eyeball a little bit more when I go out. I don't worry about, oh, I've got to know how many grams or ounces or whatever this one has to be. I mean, be reasonable. You're having a salad. You can pretty much eyeball if there's like 2 cups of lettuce in there and some extra vegetables, you're fine. If you have a little more, that's not going to be as detrimental as too much fat or, you know, too much protein, which is not likely to be the case when you're in when you're in a restaurant. They usually you're lucky if you get 4 ounces of something. So that's what I think. What else?
I'm anxious to look up your Caesar salad recipe.
Me too. Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
And the
Actually,
ketchup,
Like in
please.
your ranch.
there's one post that has all 3. It's a vinaigrette, a ranch, and the Caesar. And the ranch dressing. So I worked as a recipe developer for a friend who has a restaurant, and I did his whole lunch menu. This was several years ago, and the ranch dressing was developed for the original ranch dressing was developed for the restaurant. And then so I've made that for years and years. Well, it's made with mayonnaise and whole buttermilk, like whole fat buttermilk, like not the low fat stuff, the whole fat buttermilk. Well, I knew I couldn't do that, and it's my favorite ranch dressing. And so I get the buttermilk powder. Saco, SACO is the brand, and it is low fat. Like you buy it where you buy the powdered milk in the baking aisle at the grocery store. They carry it at Kroger, they carry it at Walmart. You can buy it on Amazon. And I use that and water plus low fat mayonnaise. And you would not know it's the same. You just would not know that it's low fat. It's creamy. It is so good. I like my ranch dressing thin, and so I add more water. But if you follow the recipe exactly, it'll be a little bit thicker, not quite as thick as Hidden Valley Ranch, but it still is a fairly thick dressing, especially after it sits for a little bit. The best ranch dressing. And thank you. Look at you. What would I do?
Oh my goodness. Can I take a snapshot of that? What?
Yeah, and it's in the chat.
I was gonna say it'll be in the chat once she posts, right?
Yes, it'll be in the chat once it's posted.
Good.
Yeah, so that will be good as well. It's like, I'm not kidding you, they're all not to toot my own horn, but they really are some of the best things I've ever come up with.
I really like
So
it.
what was that recipe?
What
was the recipe posted?
So there's a Caesar dressing, the ranch dressing, and then I also have a vinaigrette so you can find it also on the newbies page. I've posted it a few times, and if you can't find it, just let me know. I'll send it to you, because I have it saved in a note in my phone, and I can just send you the note. It's like I love salads, but I don't like low-fat salad dressing, and this is the only way I can do salads and actually enjoy them. So, yeah, and there's the vinaigrette. Carla to the rescue.
Thank you, Carla.
Yeah, thank you.
Now I'm wanting that ketchup one that you were talking about, Lizabeth.
I'll have to search for that one. It might actually be on the Living in the Light group, because that was originally a Whole30 group.
You're the owner of
and I
think
that probably if you were to search.
Care to join us, we can discuss that.
Ketchup using dates.
Went over the paperwork.
So if you go into
They're only here temporarily, right, Jack?
ketchup, I'm pretty sure that somewhere along the line in some of the older posts that ketchup recipe is there. If not, I'll find it and I'll send it to you.
It's funny.
Maybe the dates and
I can't hear.
How big she's getting.
Can you mute?
So I can mute.
There was a lot of background noise. There we
Somebody
go.
was chatting. Oh, I found it. Wait a minute. I can't, I have it on my phone. And I can't get it to there.
Because I can't do that, the ketchup, the no sugar or whatever it is, ketchup, it just is nasty. So eventually I'd like to maybe try
Yeah, this one
it
would
with the
not
dates.
be, yeah, this one would not be Optavia friendly
Approved.
for,
Mm-hmm.
let me see. So Becky, I'm just gonna message it to you in Messenger. And then
Sounds good. Thank you.
Put
If
me in
anybody
it,
else
Coach.
wants. What?
I said, message me too.
Okay. I will definitely send it, but just know, I'm not sending this to you to have while you're on
No,
5 and 1. It doesn't, it's got dates in it and you can't have it for 5 and 1. But
right, correct.
you can have it once you are on maintenance and you're looking for ketchup and you don't want to do the sugar-free G Hughes, Primal Kitchen, whatever. And super good. Anyway, anybody have anything else? All right, we were small but mighty today. Thanks for participating,
Yay.
guys.
Thank you,
So
Elizabeth.
the next one we're going to do is we would have done it on the 16th, but I'm going to be at the beach, and so we're going to do element. You actually get 3 weeks, so we're going to do element 8 on the 23rd.
I should have done, but I didn't know that back then.
I don't think I'm
I also
going anywhere.
Promises kids as well.
All right.
So element 8 on the 23rd.
Yes, element 8 on the 23rd. Yep.
Okay.
That big wrench
Thanks,
there?
Steve.
Pass that.
So check in, if you have questions, if you need anything, and happy to answer questions and cheer you on. And I'm going to enjoy my fruit again tomorrow morning.
Think of me when you're taking those bites, please.
No, because you're doing good things for yourself. You're making good choices right now, and you will eventually be where I am. Really, I promise you will be. So hang in there.
I didn't hear what Lisa said.
Told her to quit rubbing it in that she gets through.
Oh. No, I want her tomorrow morning when she's taking that bite of fruit to think of Becky. That's all. That's all. This is for Becky.
All right, I'll have a bite for you tomorrow morning.
Okay.
All right, guys, have a great night, and I'll see you knuckleheads later.
Thank you, Queen Knuckles.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everybody.
Bye, guys.
Bye.